95 people. You know, right now we're the #1 recruiter. There are a few people that are nipping at my heel, but we're going to talk about what that is. We'll do Q&A as well, and then we'll wrap it up with a call to action. Okay. But on the testimony part, let me know when we're ready. Okay. All right. On the testimony part, I'm going to start out with my testimony of how I got involved in network marketing. Okay. And if you've ever been on the presentation call Monday through Friday at 11 a.m., and that's a good tool that you can utilize to move your prospect forward, or Tuesday night and Thursday night at 7 p.m. You guys' time. Either myself or one of the other sales associates in the company, we're doing a 15 to 20 minute presentation call. And if you're doing a presentation call, if you're doing a one-on-one, if you're doing a home meeting, wealth strategy meeting, a hotel meeting, you always want to start out by telling your story. You know, and why do you tell your story? You know, if I'm prospecting, why do I tell my story? Because when a person sits down in front of you, they typically have 3 questions in mind. And if you answer those 3 questions, then they more than likely will sign up with you in your business. Here are the 3 questions, and I want you to write them down. Here's the 3 questions. Question number 1, does it work? That's why you tell your story. Number 2, can I do it? And number 3, will you help me? Those are 3 questions. Whenever you sit down with a prospect, you invite them over to a home meeting, a wealth strategy meeting. You invite them to a hotel meeting, a setting like this, they have 3 questions in mind. And if you answer them, they more than likely will get involved in your business. Number 1, does it work? Number 2, can I do it? And number 3, will you help me? That's why it's important that you tell your story. All right? And my story, why I got involved in network marketing in the year 2000, my first company. My first company, I made money. I made way more mistakes than I made money. You know, as a matter of fact, I tell most people, if you just learn from the mistakes I made, you're going to make a lot of money. Because I made a lot of mistakes, you know. And I did what most people do, trying to be successful. You make a lot of mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes in network marketing, you ain't trying, okay? So you're going to make some mistakes, you know, and that's okay. But the reason why I got involved, I was like a lot of other people when it comes to network marketing, because I listened to other folk that didn't know what they were talking about. I was calling it a pyramid. I didn't know what a pyramid was. But I heard somebody else, I don't want to be a part of a pyramid. I didn't even know what it was, you know. But and for years, I got invited out to probably 10 Amway meetings, different other companies, Prepaid Legal, A.L. Williams and stuff. So I got invited out because I had an outgoing personality and stuff, but I never signed up because they didn't catch me at what I call 12 o'clock. And when it comes to recruiting, a lot of people will get involved because you catch them at 12 o'clock. Because that's when they're ready to get started. You know, that is the right time in their life, and it's the right time to be. It's a lot of times people coming on board have nothing to do with your skill set and everything else, is because they're at 12 o'clock. And that's how the guy called me. I was at 12 o'clock. Now, what was my background? I was an operator at a chemical plant for 14 years. And I thought that was my American dream at the time. Because I was making more money than I ever made in my life. I was doing what I saw my dad do, work for a company for 50 years. I was 12 years at that company, making $130,000 to $150,000 a year, working a lot of overtime. And I thought that was going to be the deal. 20 years, invest my money, retire young, in my 40s, good to go. Well, after being a part of that company for 12 years, here's my story. The company went through a merger. It was Lyondell, Millennium, and OxyChem. They formed what is called Equistar Chemicals. And the first lie they told us, no one had anything to worry about. 6 months later, blindsided. They said by Christmas, they told us right before Thanksgiving, by Christmas, 1 out of 4 won't have a job. And that was devastating to me. Because I had a wife, 5 kids. You know, what we gonna do? That was my sole source of income. And although I was not a victim at that time, I witnessed so many of my friends. You know, we had 1,100 people. They reduced it by 260 like that. 1,100 people. I mean, most of us didn't have college degrees, and you making 80 or 100,000 plus. And right before Christmas, they blindsided. They said, listen, 1 out of 4 won't have a job. And the thing that was my wake-up call was one of my friends had been there 33 years. And unlike me, I got to the point I really hated doing what I was doing, but it was good money. And one of my friends, had been there 33 years. He wanted just 2 more years, and he loved coming there. He would come to work 2 hours early just to sit at the gate and talk to the guards. I mean, he loved that place. I hated it. I got there at the last minute. Okay. But this guy loved the place, and he was one of the first ones they let go. And that just blew me away. That big guy had been there 33 years. He just wanted 2 more years. And they pulled the plug. Well, you hear me saying on the presentation call all the time, that was my wake-up call. I recognized right then it didn't make sense having all of your eggs in one basket, especially if you didn't own the basket. All right? That was my wake-up call. And I made my decision right then. I was never again going to be a volunteer victim. And if you're in corporate America and you don't have a plan B, that's what you are. You are a volunteer victim. Because it ain't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. There will come a time they might love you. And because of the shareholders, they're going to have to still let you go.
Yep.
All right? All right, so that being the case, and so I was open for the first time to a plan B. And a friend of mine gave me a call, and I didn't even care for the guy. Because I was a coach at a private school. You know, I volunteered for like 3 years. I coached against this guy. I didn't like his style of coaching because I yelled at the boys and everything. But I respected him because he had a degree at an Ivy League school in business. He gave me a call and said, come on, take a look at the business. I went out, I liked it, I signed up the same night. And I got involved in my first company. Well, he caught me at 12 o'clock. But that was my wake-up call. And a year and a half later, I was able to walk away from the chemical plant. Okay? So that's how I got involved in network marketing. Didn't know I would love it as much as I did. Like I said, I made money, made way more mistakes, but I gained a valuable education in the industry. And although my first company, I wasn't able to get to 6 figures in, made a lot of mistakes, you know, put my family in a financial hardship, and it forced me out of network marketing for 6 years. I didn't do anything in network marketing, but I was still reading the books, I was still listening to the tapes, going to the seminars, paying $500 to $1,000 seminars, and I told my wife, I always knew I would do network marketing again simply because residual. See, 6 figures a year is nice, and I've been blessed to earn that in and outside of network marketing. It's a lot nicer when that money is residual. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, when you got $8,000 a month coming in every month, whether you get out of your bed or not, how many know that's a beautiful thing?
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
And so, that being said, what happened was my second company was a gold and silver company. Okay, this is my third company. My second company was a gold and silver company back in 2012. And because I developed skill sets in my first company, I was able to go into corporate America and do sales and earn a 6-figure income and in and outside sales. When I got involved in my second company, you know, in 6 months, I got up to 10 grand a month. A year later, I was at 20 grand plus a month in that company because I learned some skills and I stayed in the industry. And about the struggle and the kind of the challenges you're gonna have. See, some of you guys' biggest challenge might be laying next to you every single night. Okay, all right? Because I'm gonna tell you, I love my wife. But here's what happened. Because she saw me failing in my first company, she fought me all the way up to $20,000 a month.
Wow.
Okay? Because my wife, she believed in exact numbers. And see, when I told her, you know, most guys, we round up, okay? And here's what happened. I remember, because we got paid every week like here. And I remember I said, baby, look like this is going to be my first $3,000 week. That check was $2,875. I thought it was going to be $3,000. I said, really? I said, baby, look like this is going to be my first $5,000 week. That check was $4,950. I thought it was going to be $5,000. I said, really? I said, you know how many people don't make this a month? And we were making that on a weekly basis. But when we got to $20,000 a month, she became my biggest cheerleader. You know, I mean, she would stay up. I don't care what time I came in. How many people got started? You know, I mean, just a bit. But again, that was just part of my challenge. That was a part of my story. Okay. All right. Now, who wants to come up and share your story? Why you got involved in network marketing? What happened in your life? Where you are now, and where you see yourself going? Who wants to be first? Come on, let's give it up for Mr. David.
All right. Well, my name is David Hart. I live here in Kalispell, and the reason I wanted to go first is because a lot of what he said resonated with me.
Yes.
Going back to some of the training stuff though earlier. I'll just tell my wife real quick. I was a successful outside sales guy in high-tech corporate America, 6-figure income, living the dream. Had a stay-at-home wife, raised 4 kids, and was able to do that kind of lifestyle. It was great. But that lifestyle went away. A merger kind of thing happened in my life many, many times in the high-tech sector. I just got sick of it and decided I didn't want to live on airplanes anymore. So I quit, and I had stock options that I thought were going to carry me for 2 or 3 years to figure out what I wanted to do next. Stock options crashed. All of a sudden, I became a lot more open-minded to network marketing. So, and I lived in the middle of nowhere in Utah when I was surrounded by turkeys and sheep farms and stuff like that. So I gravitated to network marketing and became successful in it very quickly. And there's a lot of because of what you said, 20 years of what I did in my life prior to that.
There you go. There you go.
I had the credibility, I had the respect, I had the admiration of people that knew me and liked me and trusted me. So I was able to build a network marketing business very quickly, and I was making $25,000 a month very quickly.
Nice.
But it wasn't sustainable because the company technology that was behind it, all crashed and burned. So I've been trying to recreate that success many times since, and I've not had the opportunity to have that level of success quite again. But I believe I can with 7K Metals. It's a very similar compensation plan, except way better. And we have a better product, and everything about it is better. So I'm thrilled to be here. My day job now is a precious metals broker. I've been doing that for 3 or 4 years. I specialize in helping clients convert from traditional IRAs over to precious metals IRAs so they can secure their retirement. So that's what I do for my day job. So when this was presented to me, I knew I had to check it out for a friend of mine who wanted me to vet it for him. And when I came down and saw 7K, I really was impressed because it really was legit. The prices of the metals were really, really solid, better than what I could get through the own company I worked for. And the company I worked for happens to also be a distributor for precious metals, and they are the 6th largest distributor in the nation. And the prices I could get the metals from them, I could get better pricing through 7K.
Wow.
So that from when I saw that and saw the prices were up front for everybody to see, and everything wasn't smoke and mirrors, the value was really there. I knew I had to be involved, and I'm actually able to get my friends and family into better pricing for metals through this company than I can for the company I work for. So why wouldn't I want to do it? So that's it.
Let's give it up for David. Anyone else, you want to come and tell your story? All right, let's give it up for Ms. Dawn Marie.
All right. Okay. So I'll start with, in about 2007, I was doing very well. I was living very comfortably. I had a nice big ranch in Southern California, 7 horses, 6 dogs. I don't have any biological children, but was living high, was on the hog, and was engaged to be married, and I was making over 6 figures. And Sam Cooke brought it up recently. It's called normalcy biased. That means when you think that everything's going to always stay the same. And so me and my fiance, we had a lot of money and we spent a lot of money, and we were not savers. And on November 11th, 2008, I was laid off. Things shifted with my fiance and I, and it was time for me to release that relationship as well. Long story short, everything was released. And looking back at it now, I'm very happy it happened. A new chapter arose in my life. However, I saw, wow, I was not prepared for that at all. I just thought everything was going to always stay the same and be nice and easy. Fortunately enough, I got involved in alternative therapy work, and that was like my divine timing. So I got myself back up to 6 figures. All is well, new chapter of my life. Except something started gnawing at me, and it was like, you're self-employed. If you stop working, the money stops working. You still don't have a savings account. I've never been able to have a shoebox full of cash in my closet or anywhere else. And so I remember seeing silver commercials, but I always thought that's, I don't have the money to invest in that kind of thing. And so when 7K Metals showed up, it just made sense. So this is the piece, the residual piece. And the last thing I was going to say is that, so if we're stuck in a 9-to-5, or even in my career that I love, I'm helping people, I would like to get to the point where there's more freedom, that I could travel to teach and work with people. So we talk about the 9-to-5, that we're slowly trying to dig a tunnel out of it so that we can come to financial freedom. And that's what 7K Metals is giving you. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light can come to you very quickly. So whether you're doing work that you love, it's going to finance those dreams and passions so that you could help even more people. And so that's what I've learned through it. But residual income. All right.
That's one of the beautiful things about network marketing, is that residual income, and the beautiful thing about it, even if you don't understand it, I've had people get up in front of the room and they say, man, I thank God for residue income.
It sticks around.
But residual income is a beautiful thing, you know. And never market will allow you to get that. I like to call it can't stop it money. I mean, 'cause that comes to your mailbox every month, whether you get out of your business. I mean, how many of y'all like a little can't stop it money?
Yeah.
And that's residual income. And again, 7K Metals Never Marketing. That's one of the beautiful things about it. You build a leverage team and it'll allow you to do so. Anyone else want to come and share your testimony? Let's give it up, Miss Shirley Hancock.
Well, back in my younger years, I worked at the post office in Billings, and I was making a really good income. I was just kind of playing with my neighbor one day, and I said, why don't you give me a job at the post office? And she goes, okay. So we went in on a Wednesday, and they hired me that day. Friday, they put a freeze on all hiring, so I was in by 2 days, and I thought, wow, this is God and all this stuff. And I worked for the post office for 15 years. I was never there long enough to get to get a retirement or anything, because first 6 years I was a substitute carrier, and then the last 8.5 years I was a clerk, but that wasn't enough. I had to quit my job because I had three surgeries in 2 years because of injuries on the post office, and they were just jerks, I mean, people say going postal, and now after 15 years in the post office, I understand completely. I was sitting there one night, because all I could do, I was on the night shift, and I was sitting there taking notes and writing to my union rep, and the supervisor came up and said, put that away. And I said, what? And he says, that notebook. And I said, I'm writing to my union rep. And he says, you can't do that. He says, nobody else gets paid to sit on their butt and make as much money as you do. He says, put it away. And so I called the postmaster. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I said, you better get him back up. Anyway, long story short, I quit my job at the post office, so I have no income coming from that. My husband retired from the railroad, and though we made good money in all those years, we didn't save anything. And so here I am, 65 years old. When I signed up, of course, I was 64 years old, and I thought, my nieces and my nephews will not live the way I live. I mean, somebody calls me up and says, do you want to go to Missoula? I can't, I don't have the money, My nieces and nephews will never have to do that. I signed up Kiana, and you know what? Kiana is 20 points away from her first check, and when she gets that first check, she's going to become a copper. And I'm not even copper. So my niece is going to be copper before I am, because I signed her up, because my goal is to help people. And I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old great niece and nephew, and all they ask for now for gifts is coins. Every time they see me, they say, you got any new coins? They pick out their coins, and that's what they get for their gifts. It's awesome. They are building their future at 2 and 4 years old, and I'm 65, and they're going to have more than I ever had at 65 because of 7K Metals.
I want you to see the different stories and stuff, because again, in network marketing, you don't have to be great to be successful. What you need is a story, and every last one of you got a story. You want to get good at telling your story. Now, and when it comes to your warm market, if you want double-digit people in your warm market to come on board and at least take a look at it, just tell them your story. How do you think the people that Dave was around, when they hear his story, they will at least take a look at it because they know his story? All right? Now, here's the thing. I want to give you the formula for success in network marketing. When it comes to full-time, 6-figure, 7, 8-figure year income. Here's the formula for success. Your success will be based upon your ability to get a large group of people to do a few simple things over a long period of time. That's success in network marketing. Let me say that again. Success in network marketing, whether that's full-time, 6-figure, 7, and even 8-figure year income, is going to be based upon your ability to get a large group of people to do a few simple things over a long period of time. That's it. My next goal is to have $10,000 a month residual in 7K Metals. Now, because I understand the comp plan, I know that if I'm at least a silver associate, which that's the rank we're at now, or a gold associate, if I got 500 people on one side and 500 people on the other side, buying one corn a month. I got $10,000 a month hitting my mailbox whether I get out of my bed or not. You got to understand the comp plan. See, many of you just going out there doing stuff and you don't understand how you get paid. See, because I understand the comp plan, I know that if I'm at least a silver associate, and I got 500 people on one side, which I already got on one side, my power side, it's 25,000 points come on every month on that one side. I'm building up the other side where we'll have the very same thing, because the ultimate goal is to have a $28,000 a month residual coming in. Not based, that means if nobody do nothing but just buy a coin. If we have 1 month and everybody go on strike and don't nobody bring in nobody, but all they do is just buy their coin, residual still hits the mailbox. So I understand that my success, whatever that number is for you, you need to understand the kind of why is that so important. Raise your hand if you've ever worked in corporate America. Because what I'm getting ready to tell you, I know it's to be true. If you worked at any time in corporate America, you went to an orientation, before that orientation was over, you was going to know what you got paid and when you got paid. Yes or no?
Yes.
Why you don't do that with your business? It's your business. You need to understand the comp plan, study it. If you got questions, talk to somebody. Because the bottom line is this, the long-term goal is to be able to get a large group of people to do a few simple things over a long period of time. That's it. So I know the next goal, 1,000 people on both sides, buying one coin a month, and I'm a gold associate. That means my residual is $20,000 a month, every single month. If you want to know how to play the game in network marketing, residual is how you play the game. And the beautiful thing about our comp plan and our back office, you can look back there. They'll tell you how many coins are coming in every single week. How many coins come on the 1st, how many on the 8th, how many on the 15th, the 21st, and the 26th. So build your business like a business. If you build it like a business, it will pay you like a business. Everybody understand that? All right, so let's talk about the recruiting aspect. How was I able to get 95 and 15, 20 people in the pipeline right now as we speak? All I got good at doing is putting systems in place and following systems. I want you to write down the acronym. We talked about it on the Saturday morning coffee with the leaders. The acronym system in network marketing stands for Save Yourself, Serious, Time, Energy, and Money. That's why you have systems in network marketing. Save yourself, serious, time, energy, and money. The most successful business in place. Reason why franchises are so, people will spend $50,000, $100,000, $1 million for a franchise because it already has a turnkey system in place. I mean, how in the world can McDonald's be a multi-billion-dollar operation run by 18-year-olds? You go to the counter and you don't like your order and stuff, and let me talk to the manager, 18-year-old, he go get a 19-year-old. Yeah. A 19-year-old running a multi-billion-dollar business. Because if you have a system in place, it can have that duplication, that replication, and that multiplication. All right? Well, so it is in our business. And all I've got doing when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to recruiting, and let me explain the difference between a recruiter and a sponsor. Some of you are not having success because you're recruiting and you're not sponsoring. What's the difference? Recruiter, I bring you in, I throw you up against the wall, and I hope you make it. That's a recruiter. And many of you in this room, you got recruited. You didn't get sponsored, you got recruited. Yes or no? All right? Here's the sponsor. Here's the difference. The 13 years I've been in network marketing, I had never looked up the word before. The word sponsor, if you look it up in the Webster Dictionary, it comes from a Latin word spondere, which means to solemnly promise. If I'm a sponsor, there's a certain level of commitment between me and you once you come on board, and if you want to build a business. And in network marketing, it's twofold. If I'm a sponsor, my job is not complete till I help you get started properly and I help you get promoted. which means bare minimum help you get your first 2. If you want to be successful in network marketing, be a sponsor. I mean, help people have success. Your success will be inevitable. Okay? That's what a sponsor does. But how was I able to bring in people? Because all I got good at doing, I understood. I read the book. I've read it 20 plus times. Go Pro by Eric Worre. And it talks about prospecting. You know, I mean, the recruiting aspect of the business. And again, it's about putting people through a process. See, amateurs get excited about the results. Professionals get excited about the process. All right? All I know is that every single week, I'm putting people through the process. Now, how does this start? It starts with, I understand. If you look at the numbers worldwide in network marketing, the average person comes on board after 4 to 6 exposures. Okay? In any network marketing company, that's the case. The average person signs up after 4 to 6 exposures. So don't be marveled if the first time you do a presentation with somebody, they don't get signed up. It ain't the end of the game. They're still in the process. Okay? Now, of the 95 I brought on board, 80% of them did so with just 2 exposures. But I've had some that were 7 exposures. I've had some that were 8 exposures. And I've had only 3 or 4 that they signed up the first time they got exposed. So I'm not worried about whether or not they sign. Control, here's what I want you to get today. Control what you can control. Whether you just getting started or you've been in the business for a year, year and a half, control what you can control. See, I can't control how many people sign up in my business. What I can control is how many people are properly exposed to the business. And that's all I'm doing. I'm always honing my skills to better properly expose people to the business. And that's it. And what 95 just means I've had a whole lot more no's than you. Okay? I've exposed a whole lot more people than you. That's all it means. So how do I get the ball rolling? And here's another reason why, here's another area why a lot of you are not having success. Because again, you're trying to beg, and you're trying to beg folk to take a gold brick, and you have the gold brick. If I understand that if people go through the process, and if I control what I can't control, I know my numbers are going to grow as a result. But how do I get the ball rolling? How do I get people from where they are, where they're at least taking a look at my business, is that you have to, first of all, pique the interest. You need to find out if a person is at least open to take a look at what I'm doing. Now, here's what some of you are doing right now, because I know I did it as well. When it comes to find out if a person is open to it, you ask them, are they open to an opportunity? How many of y'all said that before? I did it many times until I learned better. The first thing you want to find out is, are they open to an additional cash flow, or are you open to an additional stream of revenue? That's my question. Whether it's in my warm market, whether it's somebody I meet at the airport, when we have the question, and that's going to determine whether or not I'm going to give them more information about what it is I do, they need to give me a yes or no answer. Are you open to an additional stream of revenue? Or are you open to an additional cash flow? And yes or no, either way, I'm okay. All right? That's the question I'm going to ask. Let's just say somebody I already know. My cousin Joe. I'm going to call him up and, hey, listen, Joe, this is a business call. Outside of what you're currently doing right now, Joe, are you open to an additional cash flow? And then Joe got to give me an answer. If Joe said, no, man, you know, what is it about? I said, listen, I just need to know if you're open, Joe. Listen, let's talk soon. I'm not trying to convince Joe if he ain't open to take a look at what I'm doing. My mentor told me early on in every market, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Either you see it or you don't. This is not an arm-twisting business. Everybody understand it? One of the scripts one of my mentors developed in my first gold and silver company, and this works with people that already know you, and you put it into practice, you watch how many people will be open to it. Just call up your friend and say, listen. Just call up your cousin and say, listen, if I found a gold mine, would you want me to share it with you, or would you want me to keep it to myself? That's something you can share with your people that you already know. So listen, Joe, I got a question for you. If I found a gold mine Would you want me to share it with you? Would you want me to keep it to myself? Now, if Joe answered no to that, you know he ain't the right prospect at that time. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
All right? But again, what starts the game is to find out if they at least open or take a look at it. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. All right? I'm looking for people that is hungry. I'm looking for people that's looking for me. That's who I'm prospecting. I'm looking for people that's hungry, and I'm looking for people that's looking for me. So if they're in that category, we're going to continue the conversation. So what if they say yes? Yes, what is it all about? And I said, listen, I recently embarked upon a business with gold and silver. It may or may not be for you, Joe. But if I send you a link to my site, would you watch? Okay? And what do professionals do? If I understand 4 to 6 exposures, professionals always make the first exposure a tool that's not going to take up any of their time. In my case, I send them to the website, and I let them tell me what's a good time to follow back up. What's this all about? Listen, I recently embarked upon a business. It involves gold and silver, and I'm always going to take it away from them. Joe, it may or may not be for you. But if I send you a link to my site, would you watch? Joe said yes. Okay, when do you think you'll get a chance to watch it? I can look at that tonight. Okay, so if I call you tomorrow, you would have watched it for sure. Great. Let's talk on tomorrow. End the conversation. When I'm piquing interest and I call somebody up, it's a 3 to 5 minute conversation. Because I'm not presenting and piquing. All I'm doing is piquing interest and find out if you're open, and I'm going to send you some information. Okay? That's how to get the ball going. And then when I follow up with them, so whatever time you say you're going to follow up, you follow up at that time. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Because my question is going to be the same every single time. What did you like most? What did you like best about what you saw? Here's what I get all the time. I like the fact it's a binary, man. I like the fact it's gold and silver. Y'all got travel cards, whatever the case may be, And then typically, now like I said, I only had 3 or 4 people that after they looked at the website, they had a networking background, they signed up. When I called back, they was ready to go. It only happened 3 or 4 times. So I'm not looking for that to happen. If it happens, that's a plus, okay? But typically, I give them at least 2 exposures before I go for the close, because I believe after the second exposure, they got enough information to make an intelligent business decision. Okay, so after the second exposure, I always make the second one a live exposure. So when I follow back up, I ask them, what did you like most, what did you like best? I like the fact it's gold and silver, binary, whatever the case may be. Then I'm going to say, sound like you need to get a little bit more information. So I always make the second one a live exposure. So a tool that you can use, one of them, I'll send them, if it's Monday through Friday, I'll put them on a call at 11 o'clock your guys' time. And once you jump on this call with me, I'll send you a link, I'll 3-way you into it. You can get a little bit more information. One of the top professionals in our company is going to be doing a 15 to 20 minute overview about our company. Okay? That happens Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, Tuesday night and Thursday night at 7 p.m. And myself, Colleen Lee, one of the silver associates in the company, will do those calls. Okay? I typically do Monday, Friday during the day, and Thursday night if I'm not doing a meeting. All right? So after that second exposure, which I make it a live exposure, and that can either be putting them on a call, that could be us going to Starbucks over a cup of coffee, and I'm going through the wealth strategy we deal with a couple of members. That can be us, and I invite them to a home meeting. All right? So whatever the case may be, after the second exposure, that's when I'm going to go for the close. And here's the closing that Eric Worre talks about in the book Go Pro. It's very non-confrontational. You don't put you in an awkward position, and don't put your prospect in an awkward position. You're just asking a question. And if when you want to find out the best closers in their marketing and in sales, they are the best askers of questions. They're what my friend Jeffrey Combs calls a master asker. Okay? That's what they are. All right? Here's the one you can utilize, and here's one I teach to our entire team. At the end of the second presentation, on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 meaning I'm ready to rock and roll. 1 meaning is not going to be for me. where do you see yourself? That's all I want to know. On a scale of 1 to 10. 10 meaning I'm ready to rock and roll. 1 meaning it's probably not going to be for me. Where do you see yourself? And here's what I want to encourage you guys with. Anything above a 1 is good, okay? Anything above a 1 is good. I've never had nobody say 0, but if they said 0, I say, you know what? I'm sorry I wasted your time. Because I'm not trying to convince the guy of nothing. Everybody understand that? I know what I have my hands on. So I've never had nobody say that. And typically if they're meeting with you for the second time, they're not going to be a 0. Here's what I found to be true. If they're 7 through a 10, they got 1 or 2 questions and they're ready to get started. And I got 2 different ways I handle that. Sometimes I'll go ahead and answer the questions and go ahead and get them started. Other times, so they can see that they're in business for themselves but not by themselves. If it's a guy, I might call one of my business partners. I might call Pete Barr and say, listen, Pete, I'm going to be doing a presentation at 1 o'clock with a prospect. He's a helicopter pilot like yourself. If you're free during that time, at the end of that presentation, I'd like to be able to put you on the line if you got any questions, let you answer those questions. Okay? And so if I'm putting Pete on the line, here's what I would do. He asked me a couple questions. I might know the answer to it, but I've already prepared Pete. So I'm going to do a 3-way call to Pete. And I'm going to say, listen, Joe, that's a great question, man. And I'm fortunate enough, I'm working with one of the top leaders in the company. He's very busy. But let me see if I can get him on the line. And when I get him on the line, ask Pete those questions. Because now Joe sees that if I ever get in a jam, I can reach out to somebody else. I'm in business for myself, but not by myself. All right? So typically after the second one, I'm going to take their response. If they're 7 to a 10, they're ready to get started, 1 or 2 questions. 6 and below, that means they're going to need at least 1 more exposure. And you want to make the third exposure bigger than the second exposure. So that means if we met over a cup of coffee, we might go back and do a cup of coffee again, but I might bring my success coach with me. If we met over a cup of coffee, I might invite him to a home meeting. I might invite him to a weekly meeting at a hotel or something, whatever the case may be. So again, I'm controlling what I can control. Because they hadn't said no, they just said, I'm just not at a 10 yet. So I'm just continually putting through the process. Everybody understand that? All right, so I'm gonna briefly cover the enrollment part of it, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Anybody have a question, huh?
Pete.
Pete?
Pete needs to speak still.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries.
All right, I'm gonna bring him up right now to share a portion of the story. Let's give it up for one of the now growing number of Black Hawk helicopter pilots, bronze executive within 7K medals, Mr. Pete Barr, the superstar. Let's give it up.
I got a question for y'all. Does anybody have a marker?
I do.
All right, good.
Want it?
You know why I asked for the marker? I hear in network marketing, the guy or gal with the marker up in front of the room is the one making the money. Is that right?
That's right.
My marker back.
You bet, good catch. All right. So anyway, my name is Pete Barr. I'm from Enterprise, Alabama, and I'm going to tell you my story. I'll take off my glasses while I'm not reading. But back when I was about 18 years old, I moved to Colorado. And I moved out there. I was just ski bumming, snowboarding, having a great time. I was washing dishes, bussing tables. It was great. Had so much freedom. I had enough money, making my $5 an hour. It was awesome. But after a while, $5 an hour, I was thinking, okay, this just isn't working for me. This kind of goes nowhere, and I can see that. So I decided, my dad was a pilot in the Air Force, and I was going to go to become a fighter pilot in the Air Force. So I moved up to Montana, started getting my degree, and joined the Air National Guard in Great Falls. By the time I got my degree, my dream had came and gone. I was too old. The Air Force didn't want me. So I was kind of crushed. I was like, what did I do? What am I going to do? I was kind of meandering about. I took a full-time job in the Air Guard for a little while. But I just had a desire to still fly. So Army came along. I joined the Army and became a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Throughout that, I mean, great job, love it. I'm still doing it 23 years later and teaching young men and women to fly Black Hawk helicopters at night. Throughout that process, I had met my wife, had 4 kids with her. Back up a few years before that. While I was in the Air National Guard, I was down in Panama, met a gal, had a daughter. So she was in Cancun with us. I flew her out. First time she had ever been on an airplane. First time she had ever been out of Panama. So she came up and spent the time with us. And fast forward a few years, meet my wife, marry her, had 4 kids with her, moving all over the place, Germany, going to Iraq, Afghanistan, and everything. Great job. Just love it. But I have 4 kids with her. Now I'm divorced. So when I left, my parents are in Kansas, my sister's in Iowa, my daughter's in Panama. My 4 kids, I live next to them, an hour and a half away. But my dream is still out here in the West. I still want to be out here owning a property, skiing, mountain biking, rock climbing, right? But I don't have enough money to do that and go back and see my kids and visit my parents and visit my daughter. I'm scattered all over the place. I just don't have money to do that unless I have a good job flying a Black Hawk helicopter. But I'm stuck in Alabama. And if I fly that Black Hawk helicopter, I'd have enough money. Now I don't have enough time. So it's kind of a catch-22. I can't go see my kids and my parents because I don't have enough time. But I have enough money. I could quit my job, but then I don't have enough money. So I'm looking for something to do in my free time so I can generate income. And along comes Chris Latin, one of the other Silver Associates. He said, Pete, I have something I'd like to show you. And he's known well around work, Black Hawk helicopter pilot. He mentors instructor pilots. He has his own lawn care business. He has a car detailing business. And I said, yeah, sure, Chris, I'll come and listen. I know he's a smart guy. I have no idea what it is. He had me over to his house. And I took a look at it and thought, $250, $100 a month, $1,400, $1,450. The worst thing that can happen is I can make a check every 4 months and get all my money back, and then I have 12 coins, right? Well, guess what happened? 4 months later, I finally make my first check. 4 months after that, I finally make my second check. Right at the year mark, I made my 3rd check. So according to me, what my thoughts were, my worst case scenario happened. But I still have 12 coins and $50 in my pocket. Now I'm an associate, copper, bronze, and then I win the contest to go down here to Idaho Falls.
Yeah, you did.
I'm riding around with a millionaire driving the van and a billionaire sitting in a seat telling us stories. A year and a half later. How much better can it get for me? And I see, I went like this. It's kind of, the exponential curve is, right? I'm right here. Pretty soon it's going to go like this.
Absolutely.
It's going to go like this. So I see myself touring around, working around, quitting my job. I cannot wait to walk into my boss's office and say, you're fired. And he's going to look at me and say, what? I'm going to say, yeah, you're fired. You got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks and I'm out of here. He's just going to have this look on his face like, I don't know what you were talking about. You're nuts. You're fired. And I'm going to say, no. If you want me to walk out the door now, I can. But I'm giving you 2 weeks to find somebody to replace me. It takes a lot longer than that to train somebody, even if they're already Black Hawk qualified and they're just retired and come out. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But that's my story. I can't visit my kids or my family because I'm stuck here, but now I'm going to be retired and tour around in my RV and seeing my kids whenever I feel like it. But if you want, I could talk a little bit about what you mentioned as well on the work, working from a position of strength. You want me to talk a little bit about that? Are you guys want to hear some of that?
I do.
Okay. All right, what I mean by that, well, first of all, I'm gonna say, like you said earlier, it's all on you to build this business.
Absolutely.
It is all on you. I have built my business pretty much without any help from anybody in my downline or anybody in my upline, except for when I make a phone call to you or make a phone call to you. Chris Latton's been an incredible mentor. Tony's been an incredible mentor, and I really appreciate that. But it is all on you, because your power leg will build all, you just leave it alone, it'll build for you. But the inside leg, who's gonna do that for you? It's all on you. You can't blame anybody. You can't, like I say, you didn't build my inside leg, right? Can't do that. You're the only one. Anyway, all right. So working from a position of strength. What I mean from that is, you work at what you're good at, right? Who in here likes to say work on something that they're not good at? Let's just imagine. Anybody in here a musician? Okay. Let's imagine a musician plays guitar and he plays the saxophone, right? Really good at playing the guitar, horrible at playing the saxophone. You think if he plays on the saxophone all day long, he's gonna go out and get a job with a band? He's no good at it. But if he plays on that guitar and gets really good at it, then the people are gonna be good looking for him, right?
Absolutely.
So work on what you're good at. Don't worry about the stuff you're not good at. Focus on your strengths. Don't focus on the stuff you're not good at. That's like beating a dead horse, right? You're not going to be able to build it. How many of you would rather do something you don't like? I mean, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? If you don't like doing something, don't do it. Work on the stuff you like to do. Be yourself. Like you said earlier, do you.
That's it.
You know, learn the basics. Learn the basics and do you. And that's what I've been focusing on. I'm way different than a lot of people in network marketing. This is my first exposure to network marketing. My mom and dad did Amway when I was a little kid, but other than that, never done it. And I've sponsored 20 people.
There you go.
20 people. And that's why I'm a bronze. All right, so we already talked about that. Worker or non-worker? I don't even know what I meant about that. Oh, yeah, along with beating the dead horse. I'm sure anybody in here that has people that work that in your group, if they are not working and you've gone to them once or twice and they're just not doing it, don't pick up the phone and call them again. Like Tony said, you got the gold bar.
That's right.
They don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. Oh well, go find somebody else that's gonna work. I've found a couple of people and they just ran with it, and all you have to do is kind of a little bit of mentorship and a little bit of guidance. They're already running, so if they're running off the track, you just kind of get them back on the track and then off they're gonna go. Don't try to get, the horse is dead. Don't try to revive it. Don't try to revive it, just maybe cut it up and eat the meat. I don't know. But you got to work as a team too.
Absolutely.
I mean, even though you can't blame your upline and your downline, oh, they are resourceful.
Absolutely.
They're resourceful.
Absolutely.
If you don't use your team, because they all have talents that you don't. Like you said, you call them up, and I've had people. I'm going to explain this to you. I'm an instructor pilot, right? So I teach. That's one of the things I like to do. So I can teach people the tools. I can teach people to get on and do a three-way phone call. I can teach people how to prospect. They call me Prospector Pete sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even remember where I was going with that now. But so you just focus on what you like to do. Because if you're good at teaching, you teach people the stuff that you learn. Listen to the company leaders, use those tools, and it works. Teach others to duplicate. Like you say, just get them on the phone, show them that they're not alone. Don't just communicate to people. I found myself in the beginning, I was like, hey, I've got this silver company, I want you to join us, you gotta do it. I was so salesy, you gotta do this, it's gonna be great for you. What I'm doing now, I don't even mention 7K to them. Like, how you doing, how are the kids? What have they been doing? Oh, they're growing up, cool. Oh, they're playing guitar, that's awesome. Oh, he's driving already? She's driving? You keep asking them questions. Keep asking them questions. Keep asking them questions. Eventually, they're going to ask you a question. So, what have you been up to? What have you been up to? That just opened the door. You hear it go, ee! Right? And then you just don't be salesy about it. Just say, hey, I'm having a great time. I'm going to Cancun. Check these out. I got all these coins in my pocket. I carry them around everywhere I go. And that's made it. I didn't even buy this. I worked for it. Instead of paying 7K, pays me in silver and gold. And then I can take that money out if I want to. Another part of my why, like I mentioned it earlier, my daughter makes $675 a month down in Panama. She's a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah. I paid for her college, and she's a nurse. She makes $675 a month.
Mm.
If I can make her one check a month, that's almost doubling her income.
Absolutely.
You know how much a difference that's going to make for her and my 2 grandchildren? She's got 2 kids too, and that's life-changing. My sister, she's kind of in trouble right now. She's got a husband that's a whole nother drama, and she's just waiting to get out of the house. She wants her daughter to be out of the house first. And I enrolled her, I've been paying for her coin, and I'm going to build her up. So I got my right side, my sister, my left side, my daughter. So if I make my sister a bronze and my daughter a bronze, guess what that makes me?
Silver.
I'm helping others get what they want, and that's going to give me what I want.
Absolutely.
I hope that, that's
Let's
good.
give it up for
Thanks,
Mr.
Steve.
All right, guys, we're going to get ready to wrap everything up. But here's what I want to share with you guys as far as, for those of you that really want to build up your team, you got to understand this here in this journey. More so than being in the network marketing business, more so than being in the gold and silver business, we are in the people business. And if you treat people right, you're going to have success in this arena of network marketing. And if you really want to see your team grow and go to the top and really, put their all into it, one of my mentors told me early on in network marketing, people do what gets praised. Okay? You want to be the kind of leader that when they get their first rep, you send them a text, give them a phone call. Congratulations. People do what gets praised. When they earn their first commission, when they get qualified as an associate, as a copper, people do what gets praised. And probably the best example of that was the famous painter Picasso. He credited a lot of the success that he had in life because his mom encouraged him all of his life. He said his mom would oftentimes tell him. He said, Picasso, if you decide to become a soldier, you'll end up a general. If you decide to become a monk, you'll end up the Pope. He said, I decided to become a painter, and I ended up a Picasso. People do what gets praised. All right? Now, here's what I want you guys to understand. We're getting ready to wrap it up. Is that in this type of business, you've got to understand that it's a journey. And one of the best examples, what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is to give it a 2-year commitment. And why do I say a 2-year commitment? One of my mentors is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He wrote the book, What Makes the Great Great. And in that book, he interviewed over 100 different people that became millionaires and billionaires in their chosen field of endeavor. And one of the gentlemen he interviewed was a guy by the name of George Halsey, who became one of the wealthiest pens in Amway. Made over $50 million in his 30-year career in Amway. And when he interviewed him, he asked him the question, what makes the great great? And here's what George Halsey told him. He said, if you have 2 years of your life like other people won't, you'll live the rest of your life like other people dream. What makes the great great? Give it a 2-year commitment. Those of you that are here today, 2 years gonna come anyway. Okay? I mean, we give 4 years to get a college degree. 6 years, 8 years, whatever the case may be. We give corporate America 20 and 30 years. I'm saying give a 2-year commitment of betting on you. Many of you, for the first time in your life, I'm just asking you to bet on you for 2 years. To give it all you got for 2 years. I'm not saying 40 hours a week. If it's 5 hours a week, if it's 10 hours a week, 2 years of betting on you. John Maxwell, in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, he gives a story about, how he was always an encourager. And John Maxwell was a pastor of a church on the West Coast for many years. It was a large church. And he said that every Monday, he would get with a few other pastors in that area, and they would talk what pastors talk about. They talk about what happened Sunday, what happened the week before. And he said he went along for about 3 weeks. One of his best friends was a pastor. He did nothing but complain. He said, man, I ought to quit, man. I ought to quit. He said, because, man, I got the most hard-headed folk in my church. They halfway show up. They don't halfway tithe and stuff. You know what? I ought to quit. I mean, just always coming with problems and stuff. And he said, normally John would just cut him off at the path. He's an optimistic guy. But he let the guy go on for 3 weeks in a row, always talking about reasons why he need to quit. And then finally, after the 3rd week, he went to John and said, you know what? He said, John, why didn't you say anything? Normally you jump. And he said, you know what, Bob? I agree with everything you said. He said, all the reasons you gave me are reasons why you should probably quit. He said, but I got one question for you. Tell me why you got started. Because if your reason for getting started is still there, then none of that other stuff matters. That's the bottom line. When you get started in this business and stuff, you're going to have, every single day, every single week, you're going to have a dance between why you should quit and why you should move forward. Okay? All of us, we have that challenge. You're going to have that challenge in this business. The most successful people don't think there was time that they felt like, just throwing in. Man, it looked like I'm just bumping my head up against the wall. But then you need to remind yourself of why you got started. So I want to encourage you guys today as we wrap it up. One of my favorite motivational quotes from Mr. Theodore Roosevelt, and here's what he said. He said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humble and dull, having a state to look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It is my right to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. Choose not to be a common man. Somewhere along the journey, you got to develop what I call importunity. And what is importunity? You got to come to the conclusion and say, you know what? Success in 7K metal, this is my mountain. They say it's too high, too steep, and too difficult, but guess what? It's my mountain. In just a little while, you're going to find me at the top, raising my flag, or you're going to find me dead on the side from trying. Either way, I am not going back. You got to develop that mentality, because when you develop that kind of mentality, not all of a sudden you become unstoppable. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you get to the top of this complaint. Folks want to know where you're going. I'm going to the top. When you go, hey, listen, all I want you to understand, I'm going to the top. From the moment they created this compensation plan, to me, it wasn't but one position on the board. And that's a gold associate. If they create another one, guess what? It ain't but one position on the board. Because again, because I understand my wife, and I understand that probably the best advice my dad ever gave me is that, son, don't ever strive to be average. Because what is average? Average is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. It's the top of the bottom and the bottom of the top. He said, son, if you're below average, if you're average, society gonna pay you below average. He said, if you're above average, society will only pay you average. He said, but always strive for excellence. Always strive to do your best. Why? Because there is no limit to what society will pay if you bring excellence to the marketplace. That's what each and every one of you have within you as we speak. But my challenge is you is what you're going to do about it. Right now, I'm looking for people that's willing to step on the field and play the game. I'm looking for people that's sick and tired of being a cheerleader. You're sick and tired of watching other folk have success, and you're ready to step on the field and play the game. Because if you decide to do that, if you know what your why is, and you put your head down and go to work, over the next couple of years, when they read off the list of names of people that are earning full-time, 6-figure and 7-figure income and 7K medals, your name will be on that list. So the bottom line, I'm going to leave you guys today with one of my favorite stories, and it's called, let me give it to you. There was a wise man that was in a village that everybody that had their problems and everything else, they would bring it to this wise man. And he would always be able to, because of his wisdom, he would always give them the answer to it. And there was 2 young kids that got tired of everybody bragging about the wise man, and they decided, they came up with this foolproof plan. They were gonna fool the wise man and prove him to be wrong. And so what they decided to do, they was gonna go out there in the woods, and they would go out in the bushes, and they was gonna capture a bird, and they was gonna go to the wise man and say, oh wise man, tell us whether or not this bird is alive or dead. I said, if the wise man said the bird is alive, we'll crush it and prove the wise man to be wrong. He said, if the bird is dead, we'll open up our hands and let the bird go free. So in their mind, they had a foolproof plan. So they went out there and captured the bird, went up to the wise man and said, oh wise man, tell us whether or not the bird in our hand is alive or dead. The wise man thought about it for a little bit, and then he gave him the perfect answer. He said, young man, it's in your hands. If it lives or dies, it's in your hands. So when it comes to your business and 7K medals, whether you be successful or whether or not you fail, it's in your hands. God bless. Everybody have a great evening.